51-year-old Korean War veteran Roy Joe McCaleb was tragically shot and killed while peacefully sleeping in his own bed.
United States Police Radio, Patrice, can I help you?
Patrice, it's David Camm. Let me talk to Post Command right now.
Okay, he's on another line.
Now, let me talk to Post Command.
Hold on.
Dave, get everybody out here to my house now. Okay, all right. My wife and my kids are dead. Get everybody out here to my house. I'll go to David Camm's house now. Everything's gonna be okay, all right? We're gonna get everything's not okay. Get everybody out here now. They're coming. Go to David Camm's house now. Okay.
The heartbreaking scene led to tears and screams when friends and family gathered at Roy's house. However, the key figure in this mysterious murder case was 43-year-old Carolyn Krisen Wilson, Roy Joe's wife, who claimed that a barefoot intruder was responsible for the heinous crime. According to her account, the intruder tortured her, using her matches to light a candle and dripping hot wax on her. A scuffle ensued, during which the intruder threatened to kill everyone in the house. Carolyn, opting not to stay in the room, grabbed her gun. Strangely, instead of taking the left path to exit the house, the intruder went right, where Roy Joe lay sleeping, and fatally shot him in the head. However, the identity of the perpetrator remained a mystery for an astonishing 28 years. The question lingered: was this a home invasion, or did the incident conceal a more intricate truth? Well, join us as we unravel the 1985 twisted case of Roy Joe McCaleb to uncover the chilling details surrounding his untimely death. Roy Joe, a war veteran honored for his service in Korea, didn't let his dedication to duty hinder the growth of his family. On November 1, 1957, he and his wife celebrated the arrival of their first child, Bridget, followed by the birth of a son named Alton on February 11, 1960. The family expanded further with the birth of a third child, a daughter named Pamela. Described as a man's man who took care of his family, worked hard, and was the center of family gatherings, Roy's married life faced a tragic turn when Bridget was diagnosed with Friedreich's ataxia, a devastating neurological disease. This progressive disorder, resulting from a gene defect inherited from both parents, dealt a heavy blow to the family's hopes and aspirations. Bridget's passing on January 7, 1981, at the age of 23, was a profound loss that deeply affected the entire family. The grief and challenges of dealing with their daughter's illness took a toll on Roy, and despite Roy's habit of keeping his emotions inside, the weight of their grief and the relentless cycle of anguish eventually led to the painful decision to part ways with his wife in 1983. In 1983, a new chapter began in Roy's life when he crossed paths with Carolyn Krisen Wilson. Their meeting occurred during his tenure as a foreman at Brown & Root, a construction company in Houston, Texas. Carolyn, in her early 40s and retired from her role with the Houston Police Department, was now working at Montgomery Elementary School's cafeteria. Despite initial reservations about Carolyn's shyness, Roy Joe and Carolyn found themselves drawn to each other's company, united by a shared connection and mutual understanding. This marked the beginning of a new chapter in Roy Joe's life. In a burst of joy, the couple swiftly exchanged vows in the same year they met, and their journey began with the promise of a harmonious life in their North Shore home, marking the start of a new chapter as partners. I was hoping that it would work out. He said he was happy, and the rest of the people there were happy, but she still seemed distant. After marrying Roy, Carol could have had the ability to lift the family up and be a pillar, but instead it seems like she took everyone down a notch. The well-pictured life was shattered on September 22, 1985, when a tragic event unfolded within the walls of the McCaleb's household on that faithful day. Joe, along with his wife Carolyn and their son Alton, who was with his girlfriend, found themselves in what seemed like a routine moment in their North Shore residence. However, destiny had something different in store that would forever change the course of their lives. A few weeks before the incident, McCaleb had a heart attack and underwent surgery. On September 22, 1985, while still in recovery, he was shot to death in his bed in a house full of people. The police, upon arriving at the scene, first needed to determine if this could be a case of a home invasion. despite a house full of people. There were no signs of forced entry. Carolyn, however, made a shocking statement. She claimed that a man had broken into their house, linking it to a traumatic event from her past. She explained that the same man who had assaulted her before had returned on the day of the incident. According to Carolyn's account, the man entered their home through an unlocked back door, held her at knife point, and assaulted her while the rest of the family was asleep upstairs. She said she kept a gun under her pillow, but the man took it and threatened to kill everyone in the house. Instead of leaving through the hallway, he went to the room where McCaleb was sleeping and shot him in the head. Carolyn claimed that she heard the gunshot, confronted the intruder in the hallway, and they exchanged gunfire. However, when questioned, Carolyn's calm demeanor and the apparent lack of tears raised suspicions among her friends and family. Margaret McCaleb, a family member, recalled that Carolyn talked about the events calmly, without shedding any tear. The investigation was complex, with details of the crime scene and limited evidence kept confidential. Critical points, such as the discovery of bullet shells fired by Carolyn, were not publicly disclosed, adding to the complexity of the ongoing investigation. As Carolyn's son Alton comes into focus, he was present in the house when Carolyn reported being assaulted by the barefoot man, and when McCaleb lost his life. However, Alton's claim was that he heard nothing unusual during these critical moments. His room was right across from where his dad and they lived in a very small house. He mentioned that when he heard the first shot, he didn't pay much attention, thinking it was just something falling. Maybe the air conditioner hitting the wooden floor. This difference in their accounts raised another red flag for investigators, and that was the only statement they got from him. However, on the day of the murder, the police noticed a significant detail. Carolyn's nightgown had traces of Roy's blood on it. It wasn't her blood or an assailant's blood, it was blood spatter, specifically Roy McCaleb's blood. Despite this observation, the police seemed unsure about the direction to take in the investigation. 3 years later, on November 4, 1988, Alton McCaleb also passed away at the age of 28. As time passed, the days without any clear lead stretched into months and then further into years. Pamela McCallum, McCaleb's youngest daughter, took it upon herself to regularly contact the district attorney assigned to the case, seeking updates at least once a year. Despite her efforts, the case gradually grew cold, with no substantial breakthroughs in sight. In 2008, investigators revisited the case with a fresh perspective, determined to find evidence linking Carolyn to the murder. For years, law enforcement had suspected Carolyn Creason Wilson might be connected to her husband's shooting within their home, but the necessary evidence for prosecution remained elusive. This time, with renewed commitment, investigators launched a methodical effort to gather the pieces of the puzzle. It was revealed that Carolyn had attempted to take out not one but 2 life insurance policies on McCaleb, totaling a substantial sum of $198,000. This disclosure raised eyebrows because she had taken out a significant amount of life insurance without his knowledge. This revelation hinted at a potential motive for his murder, as Carolyn stood to inherit a substantial amount upon Joe's death. The financial gain could have served as a compelling incentive for her involvement in his killing. Despite legal proceedings spanning over 2 years, the insurance company eventually disbursed $488,000 from the policy. This amount was divided among the beneficiaries, with Carolyn receiving $19,000 and McCaleb's children granted $21,000. The remaining funds covered expenses for the cemetery and funeral home services. It became clear that Carolyn did receive the sum of money she expected after her husband's tragic passing. Another intriguing aspect of Carolyn's history came to light as investigators delved deeper. It was discovered that Carolyn had been married a total of 6 times, with one of her marriages overlapping with her marriage to McCaleb. This revelation led to Carolyn being charged with bigamy due to the overlapping marriages. After McCaleb's death, she married for the 7th time and got divorced in 1990. The suspicion that Carolyn's motive for murder might be linked to the life insurance money was intensified by the words of one of her former husbands, Melvin Laxon. He described her as money-hungry and recalled their past, stating that she appeared sweet and innocent initially, but became difficult to deal with after they got together. Armed with this gathered evidence, investigators continued to explore the complex web of circumstances surrounding the case. Carolyn was formally charged with murder in 2008, but a judge dismissed the indictment, causing a setback in the legal process. The journey toward justice continued, and in 2012, an appeals court reinstated the murder charge. Subsequently, a court date was scheduled, marking a significant step toward a resolution. Before the case could go to trial, a plea deal was reached in 2013. Carolyn entered a guilty plea for the murder of McCaleb under a unique arrangement. In exchange for her plea, she was sentenced to just 6 months in prison, followed by a period of deferred adjudication spanning 10 years. During this phase, Carolyn's actions were closely monitored. If she completed these 10 years without any violations, the conviction would not appear on her record. Despite confessing, Carolyn continued to assert her innocence behind bars. Her decision to confess was driven by a desire to move beyond the case, supposedly grappling with health problems, including dementia. Prosecutor Bill Exley shed light on the matter, revealing that Carolyn's Alzheimer's disease and dementia diagnosis had surfaced only recently. He emphasized that her competency had never been a matter of doubt, given the agreement of her own defense lawyer and the judge on this assessment. Carolyn's sentence didn't commence until December 26, 2013, allowing her to celebrate Christmas before beginning her term. This raised issues, particularly for McCaleb's daughter Pamela, who voiced her objection by asking, "How many holidays has she taken from us?" On December 26, 2013, Carolyn Krisen Wilson, aged 71, started her 6-month prison term in Houston, Texas, followed by 10 years of probation. Although she successfully completed her sentence, her present location remains undisclosed and unknown. And there you have it, guys. If you want more videos like this, be sure to hit that like button and share this video with your friends. Also, don't forget to subscribe to our channel to stay tuned for more amazing content. Thank you for joining us, and see you next time.